Biomimicry is one of my favorite subjects. It leverages 3 billion years of evolution to create solutions for the modern age. It seems that the further we build away from natural solutions, the more problems we seem to create. By 2050, we're going to go from 50% to 70% of the population living in urban environments in our cities. So we're going to have to be very mindful about how we develop them for the future. If we take a biomimicry perspective, we can enhance nature's capabilities and build them into the structure of our development. With the future drive towards our cities, I can see the future going back to ancient Greek times, where we actually had city-states, maybe not geopolitically, but definitely locally, more autonomy towards the state, and that will be reflected in their ethos on how they live and interact socially, and how they want to develop the culture of that city. If you drive up through the Northern Territory, you'll see fields full of termite mounds. These cities are made up of each mound colony, and the colony itself starts by mining the substrate, mining into the ground and creating elaborate and intensive nest systems with transport, irrigation, ventilation, nurseries, and living in environments. They then construct the tower that can go up to 1 to 2 meters tall. It's constructed with a lot of small arches that create air pockets on the outside of the termite mound, with an internal core chimney for ventilation and obviously transportation network throughout the tower. This acts in a natural ventilation system where in the midday heat, the outside of the termite mound will heat up quicker than the insulated internal ventilation column. This circulates cool air dropping into the tower, into the nest, and then in the nighttime it works in the reverse, where the outside temperature of the termite mound cools and the hot air from the nest ventilates up through the chimney, and this exhausts all the carbon dioxide and polluted air out of the nest, acting like a large lung for the nest and the colony. And the orientation and the structure of the mounds itself are maximized as well. Sometimes they're in a corrugated fashion, like a cactus, which creates natural shading on the outside of the mound, but also breaks up wind loads and the flow of air around it. Some colonies, like the compass termites, actually build blades of columns of mounds that are magnetically north-south, so they catch the rising sun, and then in the intense heat of the day they're very isolated on surface area, and then obviously catch the afternoon sun. And this also helps with the wind loads as well of the local area. Within these colonies, they actually cultivate their own food forest through fungal farms as well for the colony, and they have rich social structures which help them with disease control. They're also really beneficial and intrinsic to their local environment, these mounds, and particularly as a city of mounds. The bigger particles of the ground that they actually mine up to create all their channels help water infiltration in the local topsoil, so it really gives that porous condition to the soil. And also there's an example in Botswana where the local water system has washed away some of the topsoil, and with the termites moving in, they heavily calcify the area, and with the larger particles being there, they create an environment for natural plant species to move back in, create their root systems and stabilize the soil, creating more humus layer and actually reclaiming area for biodiversity. So if termites are natural terraformers, how do we stack up against them? We create our cities exclusive of nature. We barrier against what we see as the elements instead of incorporating them and benefiting from their natural processes. Our intercity commercial towers are just square boxes that are airtight and don't benefit from the natural flow of air or sunlight. And our residential buildings are energy sieves, built inefficiently. Both require massive amounts of heating, air conditioning, and ventilation. All this is run on electricity that we get by drilling into the earth to get out liquid fossil fuel that we then put into machines to then dig out solid fossil fuel, which we then burn to pollute the environment to create the energy for the buildings to keep going. Our city streets are non-porous and we have poor underground infrastructure. Most of the water and waste is pulled and overload our systems and then leach out and pollute the local environment outside of the cities. On a fundamental level, all species in societies in nature work towards the benefit of the group as a whole. That's the opposite of what we do. Most of everything that we do are built towards the growth of promissory notes for a select few as opposed to working towards the good of our society. If we don't start working towards a more sustainable look, not just on our built environment, but also in our economy, and seeing our link to nature, we are going to fall further behind in the natural world and continue to destroy the biodiversity within it. We need to find solutions that are nature-based and understand that evolution has chosen these matrices for a reason. They work, they have evolved to work, and we keep designing against them. So the further we understand the natural environment and implement it in our built environment and our social structure, the better we'll be.